All right, let's just jump right in. We are living in an age of just incredible information and unbelievably powerful AI. But here's the thing. For professionals, especially in a field like law, just knowing stuff isn't enough anymore, is it? The real game, the real challenge, is turning what's in your head into what you can consistently do. So today, we're going to explore a really powerful way of thinking about exactly that. How to get from abstract knowledge to practical, repeatable know-how.
Now, we've all heard this quote a million times, but the philosopher George Santayana wasn't just talking about, big historical events. He was getting at the very essence of what progress is. He was saying that progress absolutely depends on retentiveness, basically our ability to hold on to what we've already learned. Without that, we're just spinning our wheels, constantly changing, but never actually building on our experience. We're just doomed to make the same mistakes over and over, all while thinking we're being innovative. It's the perfect idea to kick off our conversation.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a problem that I think every single knowledge worker today is facing. Then we're going to look way back to ancient wisdom for a framework to help us think. After that, we'll introduce a solution called Lex Techne, see how it works in the real world, both in a classroom and a law firm, and finally, we'll talk about what this all means for the future of work.
We call this the information age, and it was supposed to make us all smarter, right? And yet, for so many of us, it feels more like we're just drowning. I love this subtitle, Swimming in Data, Thirsty for Meaning. It's so true. We have more access to information than at any point in human history, but that doesn't automatically mean we have better understanding.
And this right here, this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's not about a lack of information. It's about a lack of structure. I mean, think about it in a law firm. You've got endless documents, emails, case files, but the critical process, the how we actually get things done around here, that often just lives inside one or two key people's heads. And what happens when they leave? Poof, that knowledge is gone. Without a system, information is just chaos.
So I know what you're thinking. This is the question on literally everyone's mind. We have these amazing, powerful new AI tools. Surely they can just fix this for us, right? Well, it's not quite that simple.
Let me give you a quick cautionary tale. When ChatGPT was asked this classic riddle, what color was George Washington's white horse? It just confidently answered white. It took the prompt completely literally. There was no sense of irony, no recognition that the question itself was flawed. It didn't look for the real answer, which is that his most famous horse, Blueskin, was actually gray. And this shows a huge weakness. AI doesn't question the question.
And here's another one. Who is buried in Grant's tomb? The AI replies, Ulysses S. Grant. Now again, that's not totally wrong, but it completely misses the linguistic precision. Grant is entombed, not buried. A first-year law student is trained to hear a question like that and immediately ask, hold on, what do you mean by buried? The AI doesn't do that. It doesn't challenge the premise of the words themselves.
So here's the bottom line. Generative AI is, at its core, a pattern-matching machine. It is not a logic engine. It doesn't have reflective wisdom. It doesn't challenge assumptions unless we build a really structured framework around it. And for professionals whose entire value comes from critical thinking, well, blindly relying on this tool is a massive, massive risk.
So, if our shiny new technology has these huge blind spots, where do we find the framework we need? Well, believe it or not, we're going to turn to a timeless source of clarity, the ancient Greeks. They had a much more precise and frankly useful way of thinking about knowledge.
First up, they had epistēmē. You can think of this as your theoretical, scientific knowledge. It's the what and the why. For a lawyer, this is all the stuff you learn in law school, the principles, the doctrines, the case law. It's the book smarts.
Next, and this one is so important, is technē. This is the practical craft, the skill, the how. It's the actual know-how you need to take all that theoretical knowledge and do something with it. It's the craft of drafting a brief, of managing a case file, of onboarding a new client properly. It's the street smarts.
And finally, bringing it all together, there's phronēsis. This is practical wisdom. It's that ethical judgment, that gut feeling you get from years of experience that tells you when to act and why to act. It's the good judgment that guides how you use both your knowledge and your craft.
And this right here, this is the light bulb moment for the modern workplace. We spend a ton of time on epistēmē, the theory, and we all say we value phronēsis, good judgment. But we almost completely ignore technē, that practical, repeatable craft that actually connects the two. It is the missing middle.
And that is exactly where Lex Techne comes in. It's a philosophy, it's a brand, and is designed specifically to build back that missing middle, to create that bridge from just knowing the theory to actually putting it into practice with real wisdom.
The name really says it all, doesn't it? Lex is Latin for law, and techne, as we just learned, is Greek for craft. So Lex Techne is a practical system. It's about capturing what great professionals already do intuitively and turning it into something that's documented, something that's teachable, and something that's scalable. It's all about moving from abstract knowledge to concrete action.
So what is this philosophy all about in practice? Well, the Lex Techne brand is built on a few really key ideas. It's about taking those intuitive steps and making them documented processes. It's about treating administration not as some boring afterthought, but as a foundational, teachable craft. It's about building systems that become the firm's memory, ensuring progress through that key idea we started with, retentiveness. And most importantly, it provides the framework you need for what we should be aiming for, augmented intelligence.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty good in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's start in the classroom and meet an AI teaching assistant named Polly.
So Polly is an AI mentor created by Joseph Vallette to help students learn law office administration. Now, instead of just letting students ask vague questions, Polly is built on something called the ICIO prompting framework. And this is technē in action. It forces the student to be disciplined. You have to clearly state your instruction, like draft a welcome email for a new client. Then you provide the necessary context. You give it the specific input data, like the client's name. And finally, you specify the output format you want. It completely transforms a vague chat into a structured professional request.
All right, so that's the classroom. Super cool. But let's take this concept and bring it into the day-to-day reality of a modern law firm. How does Lex Techne work for practicing professionals? Well, the answer is through a whole system of resources, like the DIY AI toolbox.
And when I say comprehensive, I mean it. We are talking about over 150 prompts and frameworks. This isn't just theory. It's a massive, practical library of repeatable solutions for running a law firm.
And this table just gives you a little taste of the scope. The Lex Techne brand, through resources just like this toolbox, gives you structured answers to the real, painful questions that keep lawyers and firm managers up at night. How do we onboard new clients the right way every time? How do we make sure we capture all our billable time? How do we organize our files so we can actually find things? How in the world do we create an operations manual so this place doesn't fall apart when we try to grow? It provides the technē, the craft for all of these absolutely critical functions.
So where does all of this lead? What's the end game here? Well, it leads to a brand new vision for the future of professional work, a future that isn't artificial, but augmented, combining the very best of human judgment and machine precision.
And this is such a critical distinction to understand. Artificial intelligence on its own is an incredibly powerful tool, but without direction, it can be a chaos machine. Augmented intelligence is different. It's that same powerful tool, but it's guided by human wisdom, our phronēsis, and a structured method, our technē. The human is in the driver's seat, setting the direction. The machine is the engine, providing the precision. That's the future we should be building. Which really leaves us with one final, crucial question for you to think about. Your firm, your practice, it is filled with knowledge, with epistēmē. But does it have a system to retain its experience? Does it have a documented craft, a technē? Because as Santayana warned us all those years ago, without that retentiveness, real progress is just impossible. A firm without a system for its know-how is simply condemned to repeat its past, forever stuck just starting over.